On today's episode, we're going to look at a spin-off from our three-part interviewing series, where in episode 1, we discussed what you should do before an interview. In episode 2, we looked at what you should cover during the interviews and the do's and don'ts there. And in our last episode, we looked at the actions you should take post the interview. One thing that came out was salary negotiations. And because this is such a hot topic where we get a lot of questions on, we decided to do a separate episode on itself. My name is Lily. You can call me L.
I'm Madani. You can call me M.
And together we are M&L, aka Hanging with the Girls.
Mshauri careers, hanging with M&L.
So the salary negotiation part is really critical, as Elle has said. Rule of thumb is do not be hasty, okay? It's a win-win situation. Don't go into it as though you're an underdog. So take your time. And if this is an organization that's worth or deserving of you, they will play along, or rather they will be cooperative, and you'll be able to have a discussion that has a mutually beneficial outcome. So let's jump into some of the fundamental things that you need to do. So first thing is ask for a complete breakdown of the offer. We often see people construe a job offer to just stop at the gross salary. Yet there are many components about what's on offer when it comes to a job. So, of course, ask for what the gross salary is and ask if there is a breakdown to it, because gross means sum total of. So is it made up of basic salary, house allowance, telephone allowance, whatever allowances there are, or is it a consolidated salary? What is the difference between the two? It all comes to how pension is calculated. So an organization that offers you a pension benefit will tell you what they use to calculate the percentage that they will be contributing into your pension plan. So typically companies use base salary as how they do the calculation, and that then helps you compare. If your current job or the previous job you've had, they did a percentage of your gross as a base of pension, and this new one is doing a percentage of basic, which is only like part of the pay, it means you're maybe losing out on this pension benefit. So that's why it's important to ask for a complete breakdown. So first thing you ask for is consolidated pay and the components. Ask about the pension plan, of course. Ask about learning and development support. So is training part of the job offer, and then how do they do it? There are some companies where you pay for your own training and then they refund you. There are those who put you up into a development plan, and there are trainings that they pay for you to do. So make sure you ask what exactly happens in this company when it comes to that. Ask about bonding. Now, this is a very typical practice, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So here is where your company may decide to train you and then tell you you have to stay with us for, say, 2 years in order to work off this training, or they tell you in the event that you leave within a 2-year period, you have to pay them back in full for whatever it is that they've paid for you to learn. So on top of this, make sure you ask about leave days, how many they are, work hours, if there's any flexibility, and whether you work Saturdays or not, and things like that. Bonuses and how they're calculated, increments, if they give cost of living adjustments or performance related adjustments. Ask about your grade, and also because the grade tells you the sort of benefits that accrue to someone at your level, and also the work tools. So ask if you get a laptop, airtime, a telephone, and now take your time to tabulate all of these things against the other tangibles that you earn in your current job, put them side by side, and then use that as your going in position when you're now sitting back down with the company to negotiate. But remember to take a position. Don't just wing it. Once you've put these things side by side, consciously think through, what do you think you're worth net? If you're finding that you're coming in at a disadvantage, from my experience, often people realize that, you know what, the offer on the table compared to what I have, if I look at everything, is actually quite good. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't ask for a little bit more. You know, always push the company for a little bit more.
Also look at the intangible things. I always say write a side by side. So what Mudhoni has talked about, salary, pension, learning and development, you name it. Now, in our part 3 series, we talked about doing your research. And in the research, look at work-life balance, look at career progression, opportunities, and clarity. Look at how are people talking about the management team? Is this an environment that's toxic? Is this an environment that people like and people really, really enjoy? And all this holistically should come to you making that decision.
Correct.
It's important to understand that salary negotiations is a give and take, both for you as the candidate and the organization. So you've piled up sort of what you believe to be your self-worth. But it's also important for you to have done your research on what is the internal equity of this organization. What do they typically pay people at your grade or coming in at this level, so that when you come in, you're not also overshooting, but you're also placing yourself where you're not at a disadvantage.
And don't be afraid to ask questions, because that's what negotiating is. So if you don't have insights on what they pay, similar positions, ask the HR manager, ask the line manager. Just say, you know what, I want to come and be happy in this job, so please educate me, help me make a good decision here, because I don't want to go in and discover, yes, I got a percentage increment to my salary, but my peers, for one reason or the other, earn twice as me, and yet we're doing the same work. So be candid and see just what you get back out of this negotiation.
And there's also nothing wrong with sending an offer back, because sometimes organizations have a bandwidth in which they can play within.
Yes.
So you could receive an offer and say, hey, is there any possibility for wiggle room? And as long as you have a justification, there's nothing wrong with that. And one of two things can happen. And this is where you get to a position where you feel, okay, I have a hard stop, and unfortunately this organization is not able to match what I want. What do we do in that situation, Mudhoni?
So professionally decline. Send an email and thank them for engaging in the negotiation with you. Recap the reasons why it may have broken down, and then keep the relationship open. Say, oh, in the future, should there be an opportunity that matches my skill and that you may have a budget for me, please keep me in mind, because as I said in the interview, my career goals and aspirations align to what this job and this company does.
And I actually think that there's nothing wrong with referring someone.
Yes.
You can say, thank you for the opportunity. As much as I am not able to take this position, I am more than open to share it within my networks on people who I think can be a good fit, because at the end of the day, I want you to find the best person for this role. Alternatively, the other thing could happen. You could be happy.
Yeah.
And come to a mutual agreement.
The negotiation worked, give and take took place, and here you are.
So what do you do?
Read through that offer letter again carefully. Take your time to read through it. Ask questions about the clauses. If there's legal jargon there you don't understand, please don't be hasty to sign just because all the other elements of the compensation and benefits have aligned. So that's key. Take your time before you sign.
And if you have a lawyer friend, ask them, send them the contract and say, hey, please read through this. There are a few clauses here that are not familiar to me. What does this mean for me? And then you can have that talk through to make sure that you're not bound into anything you're not necessarily sure of. And as Mudhoni said, if you're happy, sign, send a thank you email, and get ready for your new adventure.
Yeah, and remember to keep in mind the tips we gave you in the third part of the interview series about what to do after the interview. There's some precious nuggets that are tucked away in there. So catch that episode so that this experience for you can be absolutely phenomenal. Thank you guys for tuning in. We hope that you found this to be valuable. Let us know what of the things we've shared are working for you in the comment section, or you can let us know through our socials. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram and Facebook. Engage with us. We really want to know the advice we're giving you and the impact it's having. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already, and turn on that notification bell, because that's the main way you know when a fresh episode has been uploaded. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.